And welcome back to Survivor Girl. Happy Survivor Girl Sunday. I'm just happy to be here back in the studio. What an incredible feeling to be back, you guys. So much different than being at home at my in-home studio. It's just been a crazy couple months, and I'm just thankful to be able to be here and to continue doing Survivor Girl podcast and all the other great things that we have happening at Strange Friends Media. So first, before we get started, the disclaimer. I am not a therapist. My guest is not a therapist. We do not prescribe or treat or any of that. We are just here to help uplift and empower other people through thriving and surviving. As a survivor myself, just wanted to be able to get onto this podcast and share those stories along with other guests that have survived as well to help, or to help people to feel that they're not alone if it's something that they're going through. So thankful that you guys are joining. Happy that you're here. Just looking forward to just kind of going on about what's been happening and just where I'm at right now with everything. And I have Tony actually hanging out with me tonight, and we're gonna go back and forth and riff on each other about some stuff, some questions if he's got anything, just to kind of talk about what's been happening and what's going on. I'm just thankful again to be here or to be here to hear that you're listening on your phone.
It sounds good.
All right, good, perfect. So yeah, just feeling pretty good. Happy to be getting out in the sunshine, enjoying this beautiful weather that's been going on, and that does so much wonders for the mood and
Get that healthy dose of vitamin D.
yeah, absolutely. Before I was getting out in the hammock and kind of laying around and doing that kind of thing, which is wonderful. If you guys don't have one, you should get one. They're very awesome. I don't know, just looking at different things with like the whole self care and, just trying to pick up where we left off, but in a new light. I feel like there's a lot of different things that I'm more passionate about this time, and also my sanity is one of them. It's one of those things that I'm passionate about. I'm learning that all of the things that I thought were so important and had to be done and had to happen right now, I've kind of slowed my roll a little bit there, and I'm realizing that it doesn't have to be done right away.
Hmm.
And the best way is to actually take a breath
Yeah.
and to look at everything before you start doing something. So a little bit different, and I hope I don't eat my words later, but that's where I'm at. So
It's still so weird being on the show without headphones because all the other shows that we do, and
I
I'm,
can
I'm
hear
I'm still not used to it. So it's like, am I loud enough? Is this coming through?
just
Why
look
do
at
my
the
ears feel
the
naked?
sound engineer. If you give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down, then you're not doing good. But yeah, it is kind of odd because on Don't Make This Weird, we definitely have the headphones,
Right,
and
right.
So I'm thankful that you're joining me today. We have not seen each other except for the other day for the podcast in
Yeah.
months.
Yep.
A couple porch drop offs and stuff. And I have to say, hanging out also in the studio is Nate and Dawn, and that was the best hug ever. Thank you, Dawn. So
Yay!
happy to see you both. It's been
Dawn gives the best hugs. I'm
yeah.
just
She
saying.
stopped by. She gave me some Happy Meal, and afterward, because we didn't hug, I'll be honest with you guys. I went in and I was bawling like a baby. I'm like, I couldn't even hug her. That was hard. That was really super hard throughout this whole
Yeah.
thing, and I'm just happy to be coming back and being around people again and being surrounded by loved ones and people that support and just good people, It's important.
Well, and getting back into the studio, I think it kind of solidifies the fact of just talking to various different people. I mean, heck, I ran into a friend of mine at Walmart,
Yeah.
and she's like, "Holy shit, how are you doing?"
Right?
Just gives me this monster hug, and I'm like, "This is what I'm talking about."
Yeah, I mean, hugs are important. I've always been a hugger. So for me, this was a really hard situation. Talking through the screen, and it's when we get sick with other stuff, yes, we avoid each other, but it's only for that week. It's only a limited time. It's okay if you were just sick, don't touch me. and that's an understanding.
Right.
But to have to go this long without having that hug. And, I was fortunate enough to have Adam with me every single day.
Right.
So, I don't know what everybody else was going through that couldn't be hugged by their loved
Mm-hmm.
one, that couldn't, other than FaceTiming or whatever, like not seeing my dad or not being able to hug him. Like, we did a porch visit because I couldn't take it anymore,
Right.
but not being able to hug him and leaving, that was hard. That was really hard.
Well, and that's what was really difficult for me, for the simple fact is that my life did not slow down.
Right.
When all of this crap happened,
Mm-hmm.
I was in the studio even more going, how am I going to do these shows remotely?
Odd. It was so odd.
Just- and then Jeremy's like, come on, get down here. And I'm like, that's it. I'm just going.
Just
I can't.
doing it.
You know what?
Mm-hmm.
Whatever it is, what it is. So it was really, I didn't stop my habits of social.
Unless they weren't comfortable with
Well,
it.
right. Well,
Right,
that's
right.
the thing is I respect people's space
Mhm.
and never went, oh, you're going to hug me.
You're doing it.
You're doing it.
Right.
But no, it was, you good? I'm good. Cool. Hug it out.
Yeah.
And that didn't stop the whole duration during this garbage dumpster fire.
Right. I remember. I know this is totally different from the Don't Make This Weird show, but I sent you a picture, I think in the beginning, that was a candle, and it was like a commemorative candle of 2020.
Yeah.
And it's like a little tiny dumpster with a candle.
Right.
You just kind of feel like that. We've discussed on the other show about how if you have not experienced anxiety or that kind of depression or stress through, and you're just now experiencing this through what we've been going through, man, I feel for you because we're experienced. We've had that.
That's not an experience I wanted. Just
It's not what
throwing
I
that out
want
there.
either. But what I'm saying is that we've dealt with it, lot for longer than just what recently,
Well, and that's the thing is I think I made note of it on our show, Don't Make This Weird. It's not that I wish those types of things on my worst enemy,
No.
but hearing various different people who are just now dealing with anxiety and depression and going, welcome to the party, because the rest of us have been doing this for a minute. And I'm not making light of that.
Right.
But in the same token, it's buckle up and put your crash helmet on because we're going for a ride.
Right.
And, we've had to learn different, empowering things to help us through the process. I mean, Jeremy has an incredible one,
Mm-hmm.
where you're speaking over, your situation. You're speaking over what is going on in your headspace because when you're doing that checkup from the neck up,
Mm-hmm.
it's not fugazi. It's not fairy dust. It's not stuff. This is things that actually affect your person and your mental and emotional state. So it's like, wow, okay, so let's try this for a minute. And shout out to Jeremy. Sometimes it works like a charm, and other times it's going, nope, that's just making the ride worse. I want off the ride. No.
And he's talking about Jeremy Scott Gibbs, who's joined me on the podcast before. We usually have him come on as another male voice because Survivor Girl isn't about just men, women, or whatever. It's for everybody. It's it's one of those podcasts. Right. So to be able to have male guest on, and it's on both. We go through so many things and survive through so many different things on both levels. So it's a big shout out to him because I've taken a lot of that stuff that he's talked about and have put it forward.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's really where your mental space is affects everything. It affects your health, it affects everything, and those kind of things you really do need to check up on those, whether it's from a friend or whatever. It's important.
Well, and I think that's one of the things that has taught me during this whole dumpster fire masquerade, that I am mentally and emotionally capable of handling the worst of the worst because, when you're an isolationist by choice.
Yeah. That makes a difference.
Yeah, because you don't want to drag anybody else into your garbage, into your own crap. You want to deal with that. That way, when they come to you, you're fresh, you're clean. It's not, you don't know what he did to me and I liked it. And it's like, whoa, 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 time out. Hold on. What are you doing?
Right.
So it makes it a little more refreshing when you're able to deal with your own mental and emotional crap before you bring somebody else into it. And during this whole duration, I did a lot of physical stuff, I doing gardens. I mean, seeing all the stuff that I did out there, ripping out part of the retaining wall and I still haven't got that part finished, but
Right.
Organizing Narnia for 6 days.
Yeah.
And that was
Quite the task. Yeah.
six days in Narnia, and then I finally came out, and
Well,
apparently.
we talked about through this time finding the silver lining, finding the positives of where we were at and where we're at now, and like you'd said, going through and working through that Narnia, as you call it, the never-ending closet that has been just storage for everything here at the studio and life. I'm sure there was probably somebody like hiding in the back there that we didn't know was back there. No, I'm just kidding.
There was a couple of homeless people living in there.
But
it was scary.
I worked on organization and downsizing and things like that, and
Oh yeah.
wow, what a difference that can make. It makes a huge difference. I finally went through a tote that my mom had that I inherited from her, and there was so much stuff in there that yes, I felt it mentally and emotionally when I was looking through it, because I think my mom saved every little piece of paper that I colored on. And I found a letter from her that she had actually written to a writer, Christina Sky, that she really liked, and she wrote about some of the stuff that had happened in her life, like personal things.
Right.
And that hit kind of hard reading that, but then I read how she took that experience and brought herself up by the bootstraps as she did. She wrote in the letter.
Right.
And I was like, okay, that's where I come from. That's, so to see those different things, finally to go through a toad after 6 years, that was hard, but I got rid of stuff easier than I would have back then.
Well, I think there's some great parallels to all of that, of the fact that you were downsizing and getting rid of stuff, but also doing mental and emotional inventory. And we've talked about that on the show a few different times, but in this instance, it was like, okay, it's time to get to the point of priorities of what actually matters in downsizing and getting rid of all the other crap that you don't need in here and out there, where your physical material stuff.
We carry so much. We hold on to so many things, and I think that we don't realize it half the time, because I'm reading a different, like another book right now, and part of it is talking about your spaces and feng shui, which I used to laugh at my mom about, but really having like everything pulled together or whatever, but going through and looking in the closet and finding 5 of the same item that you don't necessarily need, but you forgot that you had it. And
right.
It's like, I realize that I've done that with a lot of things, and I'm like, I'm not trying to be like a complete minimalist, but to have less, because it feels a lot less chaotic. And that also helps with your mental state. For me, especially, if there's too much around, I can't function.
Well, yeah, because you're constantly tripping over crap. I mean, that was one of the great things about sorting through Narnia.
Finding all the goodies.
Well, it was one of those things that, like, I kept important papers. And I don't mean like, like you were talking about, I think my mom kept every scrap of paper
Right.
that I ever colored on with crayon or whatever.
Yeah.
This was stuff that was, 10, 15, some almost 20 years old that I had kept as like legal documents
Right.
or stuff like that. And I went, why the hell am I hanging out of this crap?
Yeah, and I'm wondering now, like, because before, didn't it used to be like 7 years that you were supposed to hold on your check stubs and all that?
Right.
Like, is it now because we're in such a digital age that you can take pictures or copies of these and keep them in?
Right.
I really just would rather do that, because right now I'm also in the process of shredding 7+ years of stuff, and I'm just like, I think it's time for a bonfire.
That's pretty much what, yeah.
It's that season, right?
It's that season for sure. But yeah, it was funny because I'm pulling stuff out from like, good lord, I think it was like 1999,
Mm-hmm.
and I went, why am I hanging on to this crap?
Yeah.
And it was one of those things where it was literally, oh, this is it. Oh, going in the garbage, and it was that quick
That
for
easy. That
most
easy.
of that stuff. And I'm going, this is insane. Why didn't I do this before? And as those mental and emotional practices started with the physical cleaning of stuff out, just thinking about crap that you couldn't let go mentally and emotionally
Mm-hmm.
because it was messing with you. And you go, okay, well, I think it's time to put it down because it's a healthy way of doing this because it's serving me no purpose other than being an anchor. And on a bad day, you beat yourself down enough. You don't need any help with that.
Well, let's expand on that a little bit because I feel like when we're at different phases in our life, especially with our mental health, that I know in the past that I've definitely just pushed stuff
Of course.
and ran from it and just said, "Well, I'll deal with it when I deal with it." Not I'm not recommending that to anybody because it's
Not
so
a good
much
idea.
harder when you go
Don't-
back to it.
Don't
But
do it. Don't do it.
but there's also that part where when you are mentally healthier or you're ready to make a change that you will be ready to go through and do
Mhm.
those kinds of things because like I said 6 years ago I've had that this whole time and I wasn't prepared to go through it. I wasn't ready to see all that stuff and now like you said it was just like that. Okay.
Yeah.
Little notes and stuff and Adam's like, "Are you keeping that?" I'm like, "No, that's my pile of stuff I'm getting rid of."
Right.
And I want to talk about that a little bit though because we get things from people, we hear things, and those things don't necessarily mean the same that they meant to that person.
Right.
And I've to go a little bit off of Rose Lounsbury. I went to school with her. She does a lot of the minimalist, all these different things. She's got a TED talk, and I've talked about her a little bit before on the show.
Right.
Her thing was as getting a gift from somebody, saying thank you is the only obligation that you have to
Right.
that item,
Right.
to that person, to that thing. Because I found that we hold on to a lot of things, and then sometimes those things circle back around. I've recently received some stuff back from that was my mom's, and it's cool to have it, but there's other things that I've held on to, and I'm just like, I don't really need this.
Mhm.
So now, as I am kind of revamping not only my home, my life, my health,
Right.
my wardrobe, I'm starting to downsize with those things as I kind of trade out, but it seems like I'm getting rid of like 3 to 5 things for one item that I'm getting. But I'm also like ready to start pushing that and going, okay, if somebody wants this, it's a pay it forward kind of deal.
Right.
You know.
Right.
And that's a good feeling. That's a good feeling when you can help somebody out because when I look around my house, pretty much everything in my home has been something that was paid forward to me,
Mhm.
like furniture wise and
Right.
everything like that, clothes through the weight loss process and all that. And, I think that. And we've also talked before about how when somebody wants to help you or they want to give you something or that's the only thing that they can do, whether it's hey, can I get you a coffee?
Right.
Hey, can I get you a magazine or something? And I'll explain a little bit more on those. I have had a hard time in the past saying yes
Right.
because of worrying about being looked at as only a taker and not a giver. You know what I mean?
Well, and we have talked about that a lot in the past of being, if someone wants to buy you a cup of coffee or buy you, a guitar magazine or, whatever, let them bless you with that.
That's their blessing. That's their but so many times we're so quick to say no because you don't want to look like you're like for me that was my big thing. Is like I never wanted to be looked at as like, "Oh, I'm just taking and I'm not giving." But I know differently because I do like to give. I'm that
Right.
person that will spoil a gift before giving it if I have the chance. I'm like, "Open it now." It's not even Christmas, it's July.
Well, and I look at it, and I use this term loosely, but on purpose. Our professional relationship with Farmer Chrissy and Farmer Dave.
Mhm.
you know, they spoil the crap out of us
They do.
because of,
They
you
do.
know, whether it's stuff from the farm that they give us because they're like, hey, if we don't use this, it's going to go bad because
Right.
we can't do this with just the two of us.
Hmm.
Or, you know, we're cleaning them out of soap and then they're giving us
Extra on top of it. Here's this.
right.
I want you to try this. But you know,
And
it's kind of like that whole not give and take, but you know, we kind of share
it's that
back
give
and
give.
forth, you know. And that's it's a good healthy relationship to have with people is, you know, okay, if that person wants to get me a coffee, I'll get them next time. You know, but
Right.
you have to remember that if you say no so many different times, that you're taking away a blessing that someone
Mhm.
wants to give. And that was a really, really, really hard lesson for me to learn. Back when you and I first started hanging out,
Yeah.
that's when everything was kind of happening, you know, with my mom being sick and then me going through it. It was really hard to accept and allow people to help me. And that
Oh,
also,
I know.
I know you know. I know you know. But you know that's part of this growing process, and we all are growing. And I'm gonna be 40 next month, and I don't.
Catch up, Junior.
But you know, I'm just starting to realize that I have so much more growth to do.
Well, to go back to what you were talking about, I think in a very healthy manner of that give mentality, because like I was talking about my brother Bill, and I can't wait for him to come on the show here. But you know, if you're constantly giving to each other, both of you guys' buckets are always full, so you have something to give to that other
That's
person.
so important.
And you know, it's so funny because there's been several times we've been chatting on the phone,
Hmm.
and he's like, how are you still giving? And I'm like, look, man, you gave to me when I had nothing and couldn't give you anything but my friendship, my brotherhood. And you said that was enough. Now I'm in a position to where you have, in essence, nothing but family,
Hmm.
which is still huge.
Right, right,
But I'm in a position now to where I can amply give back to you and go, brother, whatever you need.
right.
Hell, make a list on Amazon or eBay or whatever it is, and I'll pop and send it right over to you because I know you're getting reestablished. And you know, he's on the phone, being the big-hearted guy that he is, bawling his eyes out because I was simply able to be a brother
Right.
to him and go, look, you did this for me. I'm able to give back to you. So both of, you know, our mental and emotional inventories are full of good stuff, not taxing each other, not being toxic to each other, not, you know, oh, well, you know, life sucks. No, it's, hey, yes, this sucks, but we're going through this together and we got each other's back.
And I think in those times it's really important to remind the person that feels so overwhelmed by you being able to help, or, you know, that that's part of it. That's part of having a relationship with somebody and making somebody that was once a stranger, a brother, a
Hmm.
sister, family member.
Absolutely.
And you know, we all go through those times where we all experience so many different things. And you know, with the way that I was raised, it's compassion and giving your heart. And I see this a lot with people saying, "Oh, don't put your heart out there. Don't do this. Don't do that. You're going to get hurt. You're going to get burned." But you know what? You learn from those experiences.
Hmm.
They suck. They hurt. They're hard, but you learn. And if it doesn't change you and you can keep moving forward and you can keep loving,
Hmm.
man, what an experience, because there's somebody else that's standing right there that is in line and isn't deserving of that love, you know.
Well, we see the great philosopher McCartney said, all you need is love.
You
Da, 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 da,
know,
da, da.
but the love and compassion thing is a huge thing, and I think a lot of people miss the point on that,
Well, right.
you know, especially right now.
Well, and that's, I'm not going to get into politics or any of that crap, but it's one of those things when you're being told by so many different sources to distance yourself when we, by design, are physical creatures.
Mhm.
When you don't have that, then it goes internal and mental and emotional, And it really wreaks havoc when you can't be physical with the people that you love and care about.
Hmm.
And
Oh yeah.
it's not, I'm not, you're not talking and perverting the physical aspects, but just something simple as a hug
Right.
from the people that you love and care about. That speaks
It goes a long way. It goes a long
volumes.
way. It does. It really does go a long way. And I growing up, we hugged. Me and my mom and I were really really,
Hmm.
my dad, it took a little while for him to come to because of the way that he was raised or whatever. And but that's the thing. Like
Hmm.
now, I still get kisses from my dad. I get hugs from him,
Hmm.
and there was a time growing up where my mom was so afraid with dropping me off at school that I would not give her a hug or a kiss goodbye.
Hmm.
Nope, that was my best friend, my mom,
Right.
And I didn't care what anybody else thought about that or
Right.
how they'd seen me. It's like, you know what? This is where my heart is. This is where I got my heart from. So
Hmm.
I was never embarrassed about that kind of stuff. And as I got older as a teenager, she was so like, I don't want to embarrass you at school. I don't care.
Bring it on.
I will stand right out there and give you a hug. That was never a thing, and
I
I'm
love
thankful
my
for that.
mom.
I'm thankful for
Right.
that though, because I have a totally different emotional makeup from a lot of people,
Mhm.
and I'm not saying that I stand out or whatever, but to have that love and that compassion, and even when you're going through a shit show, to still be able to love and to still figure, yes, top priority is always making sure that your health and your mental health is good,
Right.
but there's still those people, that you care and you love. And you're right, the hugs and things are super important.
Mhm.
I was raised that way. I'm a hugger. Not everybody is. Some people don't feel comfortable with that to begin with, even
Right.
before all of this. But it to me, that is something important in my life,
Mhm.
mental health wise, for sure. A hug, compassion, love, just being told I care about you,
Mhm.
is it's huge. It's huge.
Well, and that's when I was gone down to the man cave for 2 weeks and then came back. I texted Maddie at the gas station while I was pumping gas, and I said I'm almost home. I had to stop and get gas. She's like, okay. She's like, I want to hug Dad. So I literally pulled into the garage, walked through the door. She's walking out of her bedroom at the exact same time, and we're standing in the middle of the hallway, and we just hugged each other. And I'm like, yes, God, I've missed this. Not that I don't, hug my
Right.
daughter Madison, but it's one of those things when you haven't seen someone for 2 weeks
Mm-hmm.
that you were
Three,
that close
two,
to.
3 months.
Right. Or 2, 3 months.
Right.
Right. It's, you long for that embrace to go, you are real. You are tangible. I can reach out and touch you and show you how much I've missed you. Even if it has been for 2 weeks, you get to 2, 3 months and you're just kind of like, okay, get your cootie shot because I'm not doing anything.
Well, it's hard when you worry about having a weakened immune system to begin with. And you hear the different stuff going on, whatever. And like we said, we're not going to talk about the politics or whatever. We're not going to get into that. But when you fear about getting sick because you don't know what it will do to you, that's hard. And you, like we did, we shut ourselves off for a while because we thought that was what was best. And there's a lot of people that did. There's a lot of people around the world that did. And you're right. It's hard to start coming back into life because I talked about this a little bit on Don't Make This Weird. I had anxiety coming back into seeing everybody, and because for a while there running to the store, it was just like, don't come near me, don't touch me, you got the cooties. But it that became started to become kind of a reality and like a big fear and anxiety. So now to be able to start getting back out again, and it's like, okay, if I would have sat too much longer, it would have been a lot worse. And I feel for the ones that did not make it through this, that couldn't handle that couldn't, because you're right, a hug, letting someone know that you love and you care about
Mhm.
them. Man, there's so many people just lost from that, and that hurts. That hurts to know that people didn't make it through this because of feeling like they had to end their lives and things.
Well, we talked about that on Don't Make This Weird with Jeremy and whatnot, and I'm like, dude, as soon as I get down there, I'm giving you the biggest freaking hug ever because I miss you guys like crazy. And I think to go back to what you were talking about, I think fear is an incredible motivator
Yeah.
and can be used in a very healthy manner,
Yeah.
because that was one of the things where I don't know, there was something odd that just clicked for the duration of we were doing all this crap. I was like, okay, well, you deal with anxiety all the time.
Mhm.
The fear of something that is out of your control.
Yeah.
Okay, well, what do you have in your control? And is there fear there or isn't there fear there? You know, are you afraid to be successful when you start a new task or a project or a career or whatever it is? Is that fear enough to motivate you in a positive, healthy direction? Because, you know, you've got all kinds of people trying to motivate other people in a negative aspect with fear.
Right.
You know, we've talked about it several times with the whole Chicken Little mentality. The sky is falling. The sky is falling.
Lord knows I've been there.
Well, you don't have to stand underneath that part of the sky that's falling.
Very true. A very, very, very good point. And that's another thing that I'd like to kind of touch on, because now, because of everybody being closed and the different businesses that were closed, I'm seeing that people are being let go because there's no jobs, there's no work, there's nothing, because we're not getting our shipments and whatnot. And I feel for them, because a lot of people are starting to have anxiety and fear from that, because now they have to start a new job. Maybe they've been there for 25 years or more, and now what do they do? Like, it has turned the world up completely upside down. You know, this whole situation, and I feel for them going in and having to start something new. That's scary.
And having the mental and emotional fortitude to keep moving forward. I mean, that's for me. I was like, well, either my head's going to explode or I'm just going to keep moving forward. Surprise, here I am still moving forward
Right.
after, months of just, obviously some days were good, some days were worse, some days were great. And still, reaching out to the people that could be physically there, trying to reach out to the people that weren't physically there, and still having for the most part that perpetual motion forward to go, no, there's tasks that I have to accomplish for my own mental and emotional fortitude. Obviously with hopefully not putting on too much weight, because cooking is one of them.
I think everybody felt that through this. I think Dawn had posted one that was like Stitch, I think. And did you be going to the fridge? No. Are you hungry? No. Are you in the fridge again? No. Like, I felt that too, because there was times I was just like, what do we got in here? And I'm like, I'm not hungry. What am I doing? So, I mean, so now we have to face that and getting back into shape.
Right.
And especially right now at the worst time, when it's getting back out to go out swimming and different things like that.
What?
But it's a good time. Anytime's a good time to start those kind of things. Yes, we were held back for a little bit, but now let's start moving again. Let's start shaking. Let's start getting our bodies back, back in order, back in shape for the first time, whatever your skill level is at this. But let's take these things that we learned. We learned a lot.
Right.
I think we learned a lot, and I'm afraid that I don't want to ever take anything for granted again. I don't ever want to do that, because I feel like so many things were held back, weren't able to do. It's like priorities. A lot of priorities came in there, and I was like, okay, well, what I thought was a huge priority before is definitely not anymore.
No. Well, and that's, I mean, we talked a little bit about on Don't Make This Weird, of what a priority actually was to us prior to this dumpster fire. And now what a priority actually is, because, like I said, my workload didn't slow down.
Right.
Yet it was staying connected with the people that I needed to stay connected with to be grounded, to keep that perpetual motion moving forward. And it was insane, because I'm going, okay, how do I do this without too many interruptions? Or distractions or any of those other things, and yet still giving myself ample opportunity for tomorrow to have one more chance to get it right.
I want to talk about the distraction thing, because I felt this, and I'm sure a lot of people are feeling this right now. Facebook for sure has. I mean, I'm not saying that it's not been negative before, but I was to the point like last weekend. I shut off. I shut my phone down from it. I didn't want anything to do with it. I wasn't on. I did not come on the podcast. I was supposed to have a guest last week that we're going to be rescheduling that. It's just, it got to the point where my heart couldn't take it anymore. Seeing all of the hate and just everything. We all have different opinions, and I'm not saying that you're right, you're wrong, whatever, because we all have different opinions. But to see people going after one another because they have different opinions and different things, that was hard for me. It was very hard, and I had to take a break. I had to shut off social media, and I'm happy I did because it was a great weekend. It was. Got on the water. I just,
All I can think of is seeing one of those memes, and this is just, it's funny when you think about it, because I know this is not the show that we normally talk about memes and stuff on, but the one that really put things into a healthy perspective for me was the Forrest Gump meme, where he's like, and just like that. But this one was, and just like that, people knew what bathrooms to use again.
Oh, gosh.
That is brilliant.
It's just, it's crazy to see. Like, I come from all kinds, my big thing is, I just love the person that you are. Not any of the color, not any gender, whatever, any of that. If you're a good person and you have a good soul, I love you. If we vibe and I care about you, I love you. That, even if we don't vibe all the way, I still care about you as a human being.
Well, right.
And I'm not trying to get into all of that because I don't want to go there with it, but that's how I feel. Like, that's how I was raised, was to just put love out there, not go after people, not be ugly to people.
To go back to what you were talking about, priorities, I think that has been one of the biggest things the whole course of this process, is that going back to the priority of not being social media, not being, video games, not being, television series. It's the people, the human beings that you coexist and live and breathe and have dinner with and do activities with, that is the true priority. Like, all that material shit can get sucked up in a freaking tornado and spit out on the other side of the world. But as long as you have that connection with human beings that you are so ingrained with, it doesn't matter. And we've said that 1,000 times on the show, that, all this could go away, but we can start over with each other. And I have several times over, whether it's been, studio after studio, or, workplace catches on fire and it's like, oh, well, that sucks. We got to do something now to keep moving forward. And that, you go through those events in your life and it either makes you or breaks you or defines you or redefines you.
Yep, absolutely.
To go, no, I'm not going to be moved. I'm moving forward under my own will. And if I can't, guess what? Tomorrow's another day for me to get it right.
Yep. Or to figure it out, get a plan in action, whatever it is. But, holding the materialistic part of it, I'm thankful for everything that I'm blessed with. Family, friends, our animals, my relationship, every day that we do, I do prayer because that's what I do. And I'm not saying that everybody else does it, but that's my thing.
Right.
Every time I do that, it's about the things and the people that I'm thankful for, the health, the having a vehicle that I can get to. It may sound like it's going to fall apart going down the road, but I'm thankful that I have that. And that took a long time because before starting that gratitude, I have a gratitude journal, different things that I do, that routine that I do in the mornings. Like, I would rather park 2 blocks away so nobody would hear me if I was going to a meeting or something, so people wouldn't see this vehicle that's falling apart, rusted. You need a shot to walk up to. that I was just embarrassed of that fact of it. But I didn't stop to think this vehicle has got me through so much.
The vehicle's brought you through hell and back.
It has. It really has. It got me to my appointments that I needed to in Ann Arbor. It's been so it's got me to so many different things that I needed to back and forth to work so I could have a job to pay for my bills. Instead of sitting there and going, "Oh my God, this is embarrassing that I have this." No, I'm thankful that I have that. And I feel like I've grown in that way too. Like just being thankful and grateful for the things you're blessed with every day is a huge eye opener, a huge awakening. So,
Well, and that's part of the journey, I think, and everybody has to come to terms with that, so to speak. Of all right, well, like you were talking about, I'm embarrassed because I'm riding a hoopty instead of, hey, I made it here. I can contribute to what's currently going on.
yeah.
I'm thankful because I get to drive a hoopty.
Yeah. The thing is right now, Nate's not switching the camera, but the thing is, reevaluating those things, what you're blessed for.
Yeah, Nate,
And
switch the camera on time.
I'm thankful for him too. Like I said, I'm glad him and Don are back in the studio. We're together again. I'm not trying to preach too much on the whole being blessed, the manifestation thing or whatever. It's kind of interesting though, the manifestation thing, because Adam's brother's visiting, and he was talking about that because I asked him something about going and running to grab something, and he's like, "Yeah, go grab it. It's a fine. We're millionaires." And his brother goes, "BS, no you're not." And he's like, "If I believe it, then I am, right?"
Right.
And he started going on about like the manifestation stuff and being able to, think of something that you need and then just like, "Oh, I need some notebooks and some highlighters." You brought notebooks and highlighters over, and I didn't even say that to you.
Right.
They just showed up the next day, and I was like,
Hi.
there is something to this. There's been different things where I'm just like, man, I have to get this in order, laptop situation. It
Right.
got fixed. Just stuff like that. And to be able to just be thankful for what you have that doesn't work to what you have that will work, and trying to figure that stuff out. And it's been a really big learning curve.
Absolutely.
But the more that I'm finding, the more that I'm grateful for that, to go, okay, yep, that car is about ready to fall apart, but I'm thankful for it. Even down to going, I'm thankful for whoever it was that got these coffee beans for me today because this coffee is amazing. I've never thought like that though, to down to that little kind of minute thing, but it really does put your mind at you go on a different path, like you feel differently about life and things.
It goes back to what actually is a true priority.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to sit there and be like, oh, well, I'm riding my hoopty. I'm late on this month's rent or whatever it is. All of that stuff is trivial. That's stuff you have to deal with every single day. But start counting your blessings, to go back in the old spiritual days. You start counting your blessings, your headspace takes a totally different direction. And you're like, wait a minute, I do have a lot to be thankful for. And on the other shows, we give Nate or whoever the sit-in intern is all kinds of crap all the time. But it's one of those things that, in a weird, twisted way, that's how we show each other we love each other,
right?
Because we're thankful that they are there and they're taking this journey with us. I mean, good Lord, there's one of the new interns down at the man cave, Drew, and Nate was at the helm with him last night. Was it last night? Yeah, it was last night. All of it's such a blur, but it was so funny. Nate's like, watch this. And he's going through and showing him all of the, the ropes for doing this stuff.
I'm sure that was awesome to watch him.
Oh my God.
Maneuver all of that and go, wow. He started throwing lines and giving our headphones and hooking up our cameras and things to where you're at now.
Right.
And, it's really that journey, that process. And at the beginning, when we all started out at the lower level, we're like, notes, for instance. Notes. Back when I took notes in the beginning. I look back at that though and I go, man, that was cool.
Right.
Because I experienced so many different things. I got to learn through all of that. And when you don't think about it that way, like you talked about it one time, I think it was in something that you had wrote up about being thankful for your bills.
Right. Yeah.
That sounds funny because to me, I'm just like, before all of this, I was like, another bill. But now I'm just like, I'm thankful because I had electricity and I'm able to pay it.
Right.
I'm able to do, I don't know. I think I'm ready to just dress in rainbows and bell bottoms and get in my VW bus and go.
But no, I mean, it's not working a shit job to buy things that you don't need.
Right.
To take a quote from Fight Club, it's you have a bill to pay because you have a place of residency. You know, whether you're paying a water bill or an electric bill, or you know, those of you that can afford the luxuries of 20 different, you know, cable or satellite television
Right.
services, you know, be thankful you have that bill because you couldn't.
Could be without it, you know. And that was another thing during the quarantine process of looking at and going, man, because my great grandmother, her mother had actually passed back when they had a pandemic. However, she was like 5, I think, and she was born in like 1913.
Okay.
And her mom didn't make it, but she was only 5 years old at the time, and she did.
Right.
You know, and I think back to that time and going, I think I would have just, not being able to have the communication that we have, not the luxuries, as you say, you know, that we had to be able to get
Right.
through this time. And, you know,
Well, I mean, when you look at it,
opens your eyes.
in our lifetime, text messaging has become a thing. Because prior to that, it was a pager, and you had to leave a series of numbers that only you and whoever it was that paged you understood what that thing was. Find a payphone and call them, or reverse the charges and be like, "Hey, I'm sending a collect call," and then you, yeah, I'll be there. So, how did we survive in the '80s without text messaging?
Going
We went
around.
outside and we played on our bikes, and when the lights started to get low, you made sure your butt was home, because if you got there well after the sun went down, you were going to get disciplined.
Right. We're getting a good talking to.
Right. But I mean, still, you know, the priority was the people that you got to be a part of their lives. The friends that, you know, you grew up on the playground or whatever. Hey, summer vacation's going to be awesome. And you wouldn't see each other for like 3 months.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then kapow, September rolls around and you're like,
Hey.
dude,
Yeah.
you grew armpit hair. And you're like, wait, what?
It's just it's so different from going from then to now,
Right.
and thinking of that time. You know, she, like I said, she was 101 when she passed.
Good
So all the
Lord.
things that she'd seen in her time, you know,
Yeah.
I really wish I would have sat down more and had conversations to learn more about her past. I mean, she came from Brooklyn, and when she would
Forget about
talk,
it.
she would talk about stuff, she'd be like, "Yeah, I don't think half of the people that I knew are even around anymore." You know, so it's interesting to see the past to where we're at now, and the history thing of things repeating and over and over. And I can see why people are so compassionate about wanting things changed. I understand that. And I understand that everybody has different views on things. And you know, we could agree to disagree and still be good to each other.
Well, I think that's not to keep patting or beating a dead horse, but that's the priority. Is you can disagree all day long, but if it, you know, devolves to name calling and defamation of character, you probably don't want to be friends with these kinds of
That
people.
is a good point. Thank
you,
you.
you know, you should be able to call each other on the carpet and be like, "Hey, I don't disagree with you, and I'm calling BS,
Right.
but I still love and care about you as a person," and that stuff's just trivial at best, because we've cultivated this relationship with each other, and that's what matters at the end of the day, the beginning of the day, the middle of the day, whatever time of day it is, because I value who you are as a whole package, as opposed to, yeah, your hair color just drives me nuts. I can't talk to you anymore. But you know what I mean, though.
Yeah,
It's something so
if,
stupid and
if
petty.
we went on something like that, I mean, you would miss out on so many good people.
Right.
You know.
And it's a lot of that petty stuff that separates people.
Mm-hmm.
And you go, why? What purpose does that serve? This is stupid and petty.
I find some of the best friendships that I have acquired or whatever have been people where I'm just like, you are unique and weird and I love it. Let's be friends. And I'm just like, yeah, this person is cool. Like I vibe with this person.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it just if we went off by looks, if we went off by bumper sticker I don't know where that came from. But, you know, if we went off by that, though, we would miss out on a lot of people, a lot of different things and qualities of people that have become family.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You know, so. But I want to kind of to go towards another thing, too. Apparently today is National Survivors Day.
Really?
Cancer Survivors Day.
Oh, okay.
So it's been kind of an emotional thing, but not really because I'm going, you know what, I can do this. I got this. But I've been thinking, you know, a lot about that and in the path of where I'm heading. And I'm thankful in a weird way for those situations that happened.
It makes you a stronger person.
It definitely does. And, you know, like you said, we are all going to pass at some point, you know, and that's a sad thought. But it's how you live. It's what are you doing to live in those times? What are you living? What are you fighting for to live in your life? You know?
Look at the quote or the tagline that you use at the end of every show. Life is best lived. Mm-hmm. Well, how do you do that for you? What are you going to do that at the beginning of the day, middle of the day, end of the day, life is best lived? How did I live my life to the fullest today? Was it a hug from someone in the studio that you love to pieces and haven't seen forever? Was it, you know what? I'm just gonna I'm gonna distance myself from social media today because I can't deal with it.
And that doesn't make you bad. That doesn't make you a bad person. Here's the thing. So many times I have beat myself up over the decisions that I've made that were best for myself. Okay, maybe I didn't get something done that I was supposed to get done. Okay. Why am I being mean to myself? Why am I being a jerk to myself? Why am I, you know, there's times that you just do. You just have to distance yourself. You have to take a break. You have to take a breather. You have to reevaluate. You have to figure out what it is that you want to live that best life for, you know, and to be able to do that and not pick apart every single thing of why you made that decision. Just live in the moment. Take a breath. Take a time out if you need to. You know, with the weather being as nice as it's been, that's been one of the best things that I could possibly do is just get out. Getting on the boat, going fishing, just enjoying nature. And I was not a big nature person before Adam and I got together. But now I feel most comfortable there, away from social media, away from my computer, away from the phone going off 20 minutes, you know. And the people that understand and love me, no, I'll get back to them when I can get back to them. But that used to be a huge anxiety for me. And I think a lot of people have felt that.
Absolutely. I mean, that's been such a huge thing for me. And I started the process a little earlier than everybody else because I was just like, I'm going to post funny memes. And if I make people angry because they don't understand the definition of sarcasm, that's on them.
Right.
But I'm not going to go through and jump in the middle of this just to intentionally piss someone off. I'm going to get through my day by providing humor, because if I can laugh at something, life's not that serious, even though it is. And you have to laugh about some pretty screwed up stuff sometimes. Yeah. Because what's the alternative? You're literally sitting there eating a 5-gallon bucket of ice cream and going, my life sucks. No, I'm not going to be a babbling buffoon chowing down vanilla bean ice cream. I'm going to go, wow, that's really screwed up. Hey, let's go make a smoothie.
Well, first mistake that you made was it wasn't chocolate ice cream.
Oh,
so. But that's just my opinion. But that doesn't mean we can't be friends that you like vanilla bean.
That's not okay. I'm fighting words.
But, you know, That's the thing is we're made to be different. We're
Of
not
course.
supposed to like all of the same things because that would be boring.
Oh God, it would be
It'd be
so
so
boring.
boring. If you were wearing the same dress that I'm wearing right now, I'd say, yeah, it looks good on you, but I don't know if it's right. But I mean, you
Wait,
know what I mean?
I'm not wearing a dress. Just saying.
I'm just saying, if that were the case. Now, you know, but you're right though. To take a moment, like instead of reacting like the end of the world, I've had some situations of things where I just had to laugh over it. Some people would have been like, "Why are you laughing?" Stepping in a puddle that ended up like splashing all of my pants just
Yeah.
on a way to an interview. Okay, it is what it is. It is what it is. Trying to get my car open in the wintertime to go work out at the gym and falling on my butt because I'm pulling on the thing. And I'm laying there laughing because what else are you going to do at that time? You know, you have the choice. You have the choice to either laugh about it, figure it out, be angry and let it ruin your day,
Right.
or, you know, and that's fine. If you let it ruin your day, we're human. It's going to happen sometimes. We're not perfect.
Welcome to the shit show.
Right. There you go. But you know, that stuff happens. I'm not saying that every day you're gonna be farting rainbows and throwing glitter in the air.
What?
What?
Some days are not
No.
perfect. But that's okay. That's part of that's so you can appreciate the days that
Well,
great.
I think of that beautiful picture that they painted in the movie The Crow of the little girl saying it can't rain all the time. Because it can't. You know, you have to have the sun, you have to have the snow, you have to have the wind, you have to have the rain. I mean, gardeners, and I, you know, use myself as suburban gardener.
Yeah.
I love that stuff because one, it strengthens the plants when you have the wind.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the rain, obviously, it nourishes the plants and the soil. The sun comes out, gives a healthy dose of vitamin D and creates photosynthesis so the plants can bloom and do all this great stuff.
And they're beautiful.
Right. And it grows sustenance so I can eat and feed myself and my friends and my family and the whole 9 yards. So bring on all types of environments and natural phenomenon so it can wow me and blow my mind each time because I can go, wow, that is a really cool sky, and look at those cloud textures and shapes, and I can share this with the people that, you know, I love to pieces. Because down at the man cave, I don't know what it was, but for that 2-week duration that was down there was some really cool sunsets that I only caught the tip of it because it's surrounded by woods. But it was just gorgeous sky, like just a smattering of so many different colors of the rainbow. And I'm like, hey, brother, check that out. And he's like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to stop and take in that beauty. We were so busy before all of this.
Oh, absolutely.
That I think we missed out on a lot of those things. And I think that's something that, you know, I challenge everybody to take with them now is to stop and look at the sunset, to smell that flower, to, you know, there was another situation where this sounds probably funny, but I picked up a new fishing pole. And you ever like got a good pair of pants or a good pair of shoes or something that you absolutely love, and then you go back to get them because the ones that you got are holes and you can't find them, and you're like, I wish I would have done that. I wish I would have not just on non-material things, but on things in life where I wish I would have done this. Or I wish.
Right.
So I'm starting to remember that because I got 2 more of those poles because I liked them. Not to go on the materialistic thing, but other things though, like I stop and I go, man, I wish I would have done that before, and I wish I would. Don't live by I wish I would have.
Just do it.
Just do it. You know, just do it. And I think that's a good time. We got 1 minute left. I just want to say to everybody that is starting to get back out there and get into life, you know, you're going to live for you. You have to live for what you're doing, for what you stand for. And obviously, yes, be careful, be whatever you have to do, but be respectful of others that are taking a little bit longer to get back out to doing what they're doing. Everybody's different. Everybody's living their life at their different pace. But the best thing I can say is life is best lived. So I hope that you guys are living your best life. See you next Sunday. Thank you for joining me.